Imagine a planet that sometimes smiles and sometimes is ready to suddenly remind you who's really in charge. We're heading on a journey to places where nature is not only beautiful, but also deadly. Here, heat, cold, snakes, lava flows, and cliffs are all ready to test your limits. Some people come here for thrills, others to witness rare natural phenomena, and some are simply curious. But one thing is certain: you should never visit these places without respecting the elements. Today, we'll walk through the 10 most dangerous tourist destinations on Earth, places you might want to avoid. Fasten your seatbelt, ignite your imagination, and get ready for real extreme adventures. USA, Death Valley, a place where the planet turns the heat all the way up. Welcome to an oven the size of a small country. Death Valley is a giant natural microwave where the air heats up so much that it feels like walking inside an oven set to maximum. The highest air temperature ever recorded, 56.7 degrees Celsius, is only the beginning. The ground temperature here can jump up to 90 degrees Celsius, meaning you can literally fry an egg on a rock. Hot winds, no shade, and kilometers of desert where even cacti look like victims of circumstance. All of this makes Death Valley the perfect example of what a tourist trail should not look like. The irony? Thousands of people visit it every year, and every year rescuers ask, "Guys, why?" Yet despite the deadly conditions, the desert has an almost magical appeal. At sunrise, the sand glows from pink to gold, and the air fills with the scent of heated earth, so unusual that you feel compelled to take a dozen photos, even if it's a bit crazy. Death Valley is also a true school of survival. Every step is a small victory over the elements, and that's exactly what draws the boldest adventurers here. Snake Island, Brazil. If snakes had their own five-star resort, it would look exactly like this. Snake Island, or Quimada Grande, is a place where mortals are forbidden to set foot, and not because it's sacred, but because it's home to golden lancehead vipers, snakes whose venom melts tissue so fast that even doctors say, "We'll do what we can, but it probably won't help." Official statistics estimate 5 snakes per square meter, not metaphorically, literally. You go for a coconut, take a step, and step onto death. It's the only place where the army, biologists, and the government all agreed: do not let people in. Scientists occasionally visit, but only with military escort and wearing protective suits. They joke that the island has health trails where you can walk if you really love adrenaline. In reality, every movement here requires precision and caution, as if the island is whispering, "Don't breathe too loudly." Nature on Snake Island is stunning: lush greenery, rocky cliffs, and turquoise waters. But this beauty is deceptive. Behind every tree, death may be hiding in the form of a golden lancehead. Sometimes it feels like the snakes here follow hotel service rules. You entered the territory, now all attention is on you. Scientists note that the high snake density is due to the absence of predators and a constant food supply. Birds fly to the island, and the snakes set up mini ambushes right on the branches. It's like a wild snake hotel, where every morning starts with breakfast, and maybe a bite for any accidental guest. Snake Island is also a protected natural reserve. Because visits are banned, humans barely interfere with the ecosystem, and the snakes live with almost no threats. You could say the island is a natural sanctuary of death, where nature, not humans, sets the rules. And in that, there is a special kind of magic: eerie, captivating, and absolutely unpredictable. Danakil Depression, Ethiopia. If Mars and Venus had a child, it would look like the Danakil Depression. Temperatures stay at a steady 50 degrees C, boiling geysers spit out acid, and the soil is painted in toxic greens, yellows, and oranges due to massive concentrations of salt and sulfur. Sometimes it feels as if the ground has a life of its own, hissing, bubbling, and warning. This is no place for the weak. People here survive purely through willpower. You really shouldn't be wandering around without a respirator. Local tribes are used to this hell. They know where it's safe and where you shouldn't even look. For any outsider, this is a place where the air itself becomes a threat. Breathing here is like trying to inhale molten metal. The volcanic lakes aren't just beautiful. They look like they're from a sci-fi movie. Acidic, steaming, coloring the landscape in shades so bright your eyes start to hurt. At night, it sometimes feels like the ground glows on its own, giving the sense that you've stepped onto another planet where nature follows completely different rules. But the strangest part is that scientists believe life forms similar to those that could exist on other planets might be found here. Microorganisms adapted to acid and heat look like aliens. Beautiful? Yes. Safe? No. Every step in the Danakil Depression is like a small adventure. You can walk and admire it, or take a wrong step and land in a boiling puddle of acid, and all of this happens under the sound of hissing geysers, as if the planet itself whispers, "Hello, human, you're out of your element." Mount Washington, USA. At first glance, it's just a mountain, but Mount Washington is deceptive, a master of sudden disasters. Winds here reach the speeds of 372 km/h, so strong that even professionals say, well, that's a bit much. An intense mix of powerful air currents, tricky terrain, and sharp pressure changes results in some of the most deadly weather conditions on Earth. It sometimes feels like the mountain is laughing at hikers. Came for a casual walk? Ha! The weather changes faster than internet memes. Sunny? 5 minutes later, a hurricane. 5 degrees above zero? 10 minutes later, -20. Plus fog, plus freezing rain, and winds strong enough to knock you over like you're a sheet of paper. Love extreme conditions? Mount Washington guarantees them, even if you just wanted a nice photo. Scientists sometimes joke that the mountain is a natural mental endurance trainer. In just a couple of hours, you can experience everything: heat, cold, rain, wind, and fog. The boldest climbers compare, ascending it to completing a survive the weather apocalypse quest. And all of this comes with breathtaking scenery: mountain ridges, clouds suddenly turning into vortices, icy cliffs sparkling in the sun, a place both beautiful and deadly. Mount Washington is the world champion of terrible weather, and that's its magic. Not just a summit, but a real test of human resilience and patience. Lake Neos, Cameroon lakes are usually calm, peaceful mirrors of water reflecting clouds and sunlight. But this is a bomb. Beneath the surface, enormous amounts of carbon dioxide, CO, accumulate, and if the pressure suddenly changes, the gas will burst upward, as if the lake decides to remind everyone who's boss. That's exactly what happened in 1986. The lake released 80 million cubic meters of carbon dioxide, which silently rolled down into the valley, displaced oxygen, and suffocated everything alive. People, animals. No one understood what was happening. One moment the lake was still and quiet. The next, death descended. Silent, invisible, final. Scientists still recall this event as a real-world natural nightmare. This is one of the most terrifying natural phenomena: a limnic eruption. The name sounds scientific, almost harmless, but behind it lies a story where water becomes an invisible trap and gas acts as an unseen killer. Sometimes it feels like the lake remembers that day and waits for the chance to repeat its trick. Today, pipes are installed to vent the CO and keep the disaster under control, but the danger hasn't completely disappeared. So, traveling there, not the best idea. Even tourists with cameras feel a chill when they look at the mirror-like surface. Nothing seems to be happening, yet the heart starts beating faster for no reason. Ramri Island, Myanmar. This is home to the largest and most aggressive saltwater crocodiles on Earth. They can grow up to 6 meters long, and their jaws are like hydraulic crushers capable of snapping bones like twigs. One wrong step, and you're no longer a tourist, but part of their terrifying history. During World War II, one of the strangest and most horrifying episodes occurred here. Hundreds of soldiers who wandered into the island's swamps simply vanished. Vanished as if erased from reality. No one doubts the culprits, the crocodiles. Local legends and soldiers' diaries describe how the water moved as if it had become a trap on its own. For scientists, Ramri is a frightening set of numbers: predator density, attack speed, bite force, statistics that inspire dread. For travelers, it's more like, better watch documentaries and keep your distance. Even the bravest guides say, don't go near the water if you value your legs and head. Sometimes it feels as if the swamps have a life of their own. Mist rises from the surface, the water quietly hisses, and huge crocodile eyes gleam in the twilight, reminding everyone that this is their territory, guarded by iron jaws. And at night it becomes even scarier. Rustles, splashes, and unseen movements beneath the water make your heart pound, and you instantly understand you are a guest in a world ruled by predators. Zojila Pass, India. Zojila is a mountain pass seemingly designed to test courage, a roulette with the mountain itself. A narrow strip of road at 3,500 meters, 100-meter drops, snowdrifts, landslides, slippery clay, and trucks coming straight at you, without slowing down. No guardrails, no markings, sometimes no road at all. It simply gets washed away, and every turn feels like the last chance for a careful driver. Locals use it daily. Tourists look at it and say, "We'd rather walk." Sometimes it feels as if the road itself is testing your bravery. Fog hides the cliffs, rocks slide under the wheels, and the wind throws snow and dust across the pass, reminding you that the elements, not humans, are in charge here. For those who dare to cross Zojila, it's not just a route, it's a real roulette where every kilometer keeps you tense until the very end. Volcanoes of Kamchatka, Russia, a mystical land where the earth boils. Kamchatka is a direct gateway to one of the most active volcanic zones on the planet. The ground trembles, geysers roar, and volcanoes like Klyuchevskaya Sopka or Shiveluch can throw tons of ash into the sky simply because it's time. Sometimes it feels like the earth itself is breathing and whispering, "Look how small you really are." Hot springs? Yes. Stunning landscapes? Absolutely. Glaciers covered in ash, lava flows reflected in lakes. Every view looks like a frame from a sci-fi film. But take a wrong step, and you can end up in a boiling mud pool or a cloud of sulfur gases. Even seasoned travelers say that here you must respect the forces of nature and never relax for even a minute. Extreme tourism is great, but Kamchatka reminds you, observe, explore, but don't let your guard down. Nature here is both beautiful and dangerous, and every step is a test of courage and attention. At night, when volcanoes glow in the light of the sunset and lava seems to pulse beneath the ground, it becomes clear this is a place where nature is incredibly powerful, and respecting it is the only path to safety. Kabul-Jalalabad Highway, Afghanistan, a road with no second chance. This route combines extreme geography with the human factor. A narrow mountain highway twists along cliffs where any mistake means a fall into the abyss. Rocks on the road, slippery clay after rain, and sharp turns turn the journey into a challenge even for the most skilled drivers. Add heavy traffic, trucks, and unstable regional security, and you get one of the most dangerous routes on Earth. There's no time for hesitation. Every turn, every rock can be fatal. Even experienced drivers say, "This isn't a road, it's a challenge to fate." Tourists seeing the highway for the first time usually prefer to admire it from a safe distance, gazing at the mountains and ravines and realizing that mistakes here are not forgiven. Sometimes it feels like the road itself breathes with tension. Wind howls in the gorges, fog hides the cliffs, and trucks maneuver at the edge. Everything seems to test your courage and attention. Kabul-Jalalabad is a place where danger is felt in every cell of your body, and where a second chance simply doesn't exist. Underwater Cave, Eagle's Nest. This cave is considered one of the most dangerous places for technical diving. It is a sprawling underwater labyrinth hidden beneath a layer of cold water, where the entrance leads into a network of winding tunnels and vertical shafts. Even in the first few meters, divers encounter sharp depth changes that create pressure requiring precise control of breathing and equipment. Inside, it is almost completely dark, and the only source of light is the diver's own flashlight, which illuminates only fragments of the vaults from the darkness. Any movement stirs up clouds of silt that instantly obscure visibility, turning the corridors into an impenetrable white haze. Losing the route here is very easy. The passages look identical, and underwater currents can suddenly change direction, pulling a diver into a side pocket or vertical shaft where turning around is impossible. In some places, the cave narrows so much that divers must pass literally on their exhale, risking entanglement with tanks or hoses. Even experienced cave divers enter the Eagle's Nest with extreme caution. They leave safety lines, use backup lighting, and strictly monitor their time. A single mistake here almost always leads to disorientation, running out of air, and the inability to return to the exit. This cave is a test not only of skills but also of psychological endurance, a place where every step forward requires total focus and respect for the elements. Here they are, 10 places where the planet shows its true face. Beauty here is often deadly, and every step is a challenge to nature. But that is exactly what makes it fascinating, seeing how the world works when the laws of nature operate without compromise. An incredible adventure for those who know how to value life and respect the power of Earth. And remember, sometimes it's better to observe from a distance than to test the limits of endurance yourself. Nature does not need spectators, but it always impresses.